Boatswain!
Here, master! What charge?
Good. Speak to the mariners, or we fall us aground. Start!
Hi, my hearts! Cheerly, cheerly, my hearts! Yar! Yar! Take up the topsail, tend to the master's whistle, blow till thy burst thy wind, if room enough.
Good boatswain! Have care! Where's the master? Play the men!
I pray now, keep below.
Where is the master? Boatswain!
Do you not hear him? You mar our labor, keep your cabin.
Nay.
You do assist the store.
Good. Be patient.
When the sea is hence, of what care do these roarers have for the name of king? 2 cabins. Silence. Trouble us not.
Good! Yet remember, thou hast a boy.
None that I more love than myself. Oh, you're a counselor. If you can, command these elements to silence and work the peace of the present, I will not hinder a more. Use your authority. If you cannot, give thanks you've lived a long life, and make ready yourself in your cabin for the mischance of the hour, if it so hap. Cheerily, good hearts! Out of my way, I say. I have great comfort from this fellow. Methinks he hath no drowning mark upon him. His complexion is complete gallows. Stand fast, good fate, to his hanging. Make the rope of his destiny our cable, for a Rome doth little advantage. If he be not born to be hanged, our case is miserable. Down with the topmast! Yar! Lower! Lower! Bring her to Troy with the main course!
A plague upon this howling. They are louder than the weather or our office. Yet again, what do you hear? Shall we go out and drown? Have you a mind to think?
A pox at your throat, you bowling, blasphemous and charitable dog.
Work you then.
Hang her, hang you, horse uninsolent noisemaker. We are less afraid to be drowned than thou art.
I warrant him for drowning, though the ship were no stronger than a nutshell, and as leaky as an unstopped winch.
Lay her a hold! Set 2 courses off to sea, lay her off.
All lost. The prayers,
All lost.
the prayers all lost.
What, must our mouths be cold?
The king and prince at prayers. Let's assist them, for our case is as theirs.
I'm out of patience! We are merely cheated of our lives from drunkards. This wide-chapped rascal. Would thou mightst lie drowning? The washing of 10 tides.
Oh, he'll be hanged yet, though every drop of water swear against it, and gape at widest to glut him.
Oh my God, our son is mercy on us! Let's all sink with the king.
Let's take leave of him. Now would I give 1,000 furlongs of sea for an acre of barren ground. Ooh, long heath, brown furs, anything. The wills above be done. I would fain die a dry death.
If by your art, my dearest father, you have put the wild waters in this roar, allay them. The sky, it seems, would pour down stinking pitch, but that the sea, mounting to the welkin's cheek, dashes the fire out. Oh, I have suffered with those I saw suffer. A brave vessel, who had no doubt some noble creature in her, dashed all to pieces. Oh, the cry did knock against my very heart. Poor souls, they perished. Had I been any god of power, I would have sunk the sea within the earth, or ere it should good ship so have swallowed, and the frighting souls within her.
Be collected. No more amazement. Tell your piteous heart there's no harm done.
Oh, woe the day!
No harm. I have done nothing but in care of thee, my dear one, thee, my daughter, who art ignorant of what thou art, not knowing of whence I am, nor that I am more better than Prospero, master of a full poor cell, and thy no greater father.
More to know that never did meddle with my thoughts.
Now 'tis time I should inform thee farther. And lend thy hand, and pluck my magic garment from me. So, lie there, my art. Wipe thou thine eyes. Have comfort. The direful spectacle of the wreck which touched the very virtue of compassion in thee, I have with such provision in mine art so safely ordered that there is no soul, no, not so much perdition as an hair betid to any creature on the vessel which thou heardest cry, which thou sawest sink.
Sit down, for thou must now no further.
You have often began to tell me what I am, but stopped and left me a bootless inquisition, concluding, stay not yet.
The hour's now come. The very minute bids thee ope thine ear. Obey and be attentive. Canst thou remember a time before we came unto this cell? I do not think you canst, for then thou wasn't not out 3 years old.
Certainly, sir, I can.
By what? By any other house or person? Of anything thee imagine, tell me that hath kept with my remembrance?
'Tis far off, and rather like a dream than an assurance, that my remembrance warrants, had not 4 or 5 women once that tended to me.
Thou hatest and more, Miranda.
How is it that this lives in thy mind? What seest thou else in the dark backward and abysm of time? If thou rememberest aught ere thou camest here, how thou camest here thou mayest. But that I do not. 12 years since, Miranda, 12 years since thy father was the Duke of Milan and a prince of power. Are not you my father? Thy mother was a piece of virtue, and she said, thou wast my daughter, and thy father was Duke of Milan, and thou his only heir and princess no worse issued. Oh, the heavens! What foul play had we, that we came from thence? Or blessed was we did, both, my girl. By foul play, as thou sayest, were we heaved thence, but blessedly halt either.
Oh, my heart bleeds to think of the teen that I have turned you to, which is from my remembrance. Please you, farther. My brother and thy uncle called Antonio, pray thee, mark me, that a brother should be so perfidious. He whom, next to thyself of all the world I loved, and to him put the manage of my state, as at that time through all the signories it was the first, and Prospero the prime duke, being so reputed in dignity, and for the liberal arts without a parallel, those being all my study, the government I cast upon my brother, and to my state grew stranger at being transported and wrapped in secret studies. Thy false uncle, dost thou attend me? Sir, most heedfully.
Being once perfected how to grant suits, how to deny them, who to advance and who to trash for overtopping, new created the creatures that were mine, I say, or changed them, or else new formed them. Having both the key of officer and office, set all hearts in the state to what tune pleased his ear, that now he was the ivy which had hid my princely trunk, and sucked my verdure out on it. Thou attendst not.
Oh, good sir, I do.
I pray thee, mark me. I, thus neglecting worldly ends, all dedicated to closeness and the bettering of my mind, with that which, but by being so retired, or prized all popular rate, in my false brother awaked an evil nature, and my trust, like a good parent did, beget of him a falsehood in its contrary, as great as my trust was, which had indeed no limit, a confidence sans bound.
He, being thus lorded, not only with what my revenue yielded, but with what my power might else exact, like one who, having unto truth, by telling it, made such a sinner of his memory, to credit his own lie. He did believe he was indeed duke, out of the substitution in the executing outward face of royalty, with all prerogative, hence his ambition growing. Dost thou hear?
Your tale, sir, would cure deafness.
To have no screen between this part he played, and he that played the part for, he needs will be absolute Milan. Me, poor man, my library was dukedom large enough, of temporal royalties. He thinks me now incapable. Confederates, so dry he was for sway, with the King of Naples, to give him annual tribute. Do him homage.
Subject his coronet to his crown, and bend the dukedom yet unbowed. Alas, poor Milan, to most ignoble stooping. Oh, the heavens! Mark his condition and the event. Then tell me if this might be a brother. I should sin to think but nobly of my grandmother. Good wombs have borne bad sons. Now the condition. The King of Naples, being an enemy to me inveterate, hearkens my brother's suit, which was that he, in lieu of the premises of homage, and I know not how much tribute, should presently extirpate me and mine out of the dukedom, and confer fair Milan with all the honors on my brother. Whereon a treacherous army levied, one midnight fated to the purpose, did Antonio open the gates of Milan, and in the dead of darkness, the ministers for the purpose hurried thence, me and thy crying self.
Alack, for pity! I, not remembering how I cried out then, will cry it over again. It is a hint that rings mine eyes to it.
Hear a little further, and then I'll bring thee to the present business which now's upon us, without the which this story were most impertinent.
Wherefore did they not that hour destroy us?
Well demanded, wench. My tale provokes that question. Dear they durst not. So dear the love my people bore me, nor set a mark so bloody on the business, but with colours fairer painted their foul ends. In few they hurried us aboard a bark, bore us some leagues to sea, where they prepared a rotten carcass of a boat, not rigged, nor tackle, sail nor mast. The very rats instinctively had quit it.
There they hoist us, to cry to the sea that roared to us, to sigh to the winds whose pity, sighing back again, did us but loving wrong. Alack, what trouble was I then to you? Oh, a cherubim thou wast that did preserve me. Thou didst smile, infused with a fortitude from heaven, when I of decked the sea with drops full salt, under my burthen groaned, which raised me in an undergoing stomach, to bear up against what should ensue. How came we ashore? By providence divine. Some food we had, and some fresh water that a noble Neapolitan, Gonzalo, out of his charity, being then appointed master of this design, did give us, with rich garments, linens, stuffs, and necessaries, which since have steaded much.
So of his gentleness, knowing I loved my books, he furnished me from mine own library with volumes that I prize above my dukedom. Would I might but ever see that man! Now I arise, sit still, and hear the last of our sea sorrow. Here in this island we arrived, and here have I, thy schoolmaster, made thee more profit than other princesses can, that have more time for vainer hours and tutors not so careful. Heavens thank you for it, and now I pray you, sir, for still 'tis beating in my mind, your reason for raising this sea storm. Know thus, far forth, by accident most strange, bountiful fortune, now, my dear lady, hath mine enemies brought to this shore, and by my prescience I find my zenith doth depend upon a most auspicious star, whose influence if now I court not, but omit, my fortunes will ever after droop.
Here, cease more questions, thou art inclined to sleep. 'Tis a good dullness, and give it way, I know thou canst not choose. Come away, servant, come, I am ready now. Approach, Ariel, come. All hail, great master. Grave sir, hail, I come, to answer thy best pleasure, be it to fly, to swim, to dive into the fire, to ride on the curled clouds. To thy strong bidding task, Ariel and all his quality. Hast thou, spirit, performed to point the tempest that I bade thee? To every article I boarded the king's ship, now on the beak, now in the waist, the deck, and every cabin I flamed amazement.
Sometime I divide and burn in many places. On the topmast, the yards, and the bowsprit would I flame distinctly. Then meet and join. Jove's lightnings, the precursors to the dreadful thunderclaps, more momentary in sight outrunning were not. The fire and cracks of sulphurous roaring, the most mighty Neptune seemed to besiege, and make his bold waves tremble, yea, his dread trident shake. My brave spirit, who was so firm, so constant, that this coil would not infect his reason. Not a soul but felt a fever of the mad and played some tricks of desperation. All but mariners plunged in the foaming brine and quit the vessel, then all afire with me. The king's son, Ferdinand, with hair up staring, then like reeds, not hair, was the first man that leaped, cried, "Hell is empty, and all the devils are here."
Why, that's my spirit. But was not this nigh shore?
Close by, my master.
But are they, Ariel, safe?
Not a hair perished. On their sustaining garments, not a blemish, but fresher than before. And, as thou badest me, in troops I have dispersed them about the isle. The king's son have I landed by himself, whom I left cooling of the air with sighs in an odd angle of the island, and sitting his arms in this sad knot.
Of the king's ship, the mariners say how thou hast disposed in all the rest of the fleet.
Safely in harbour is the king's ship, in the deep nook where once thou callest me up at midnight to fetch dew from the still vexed bemuths. There she's hid. The mariners all under hatches stowed, who with the charm joined to their suffered labour I have left asleep.
And for the rest of the fleet which I dispersed, they have all met again, and are upon the Mediterranean float, bound sadly home for Naples, supposing that they saw the king's ship wrecked and his great person perish.
Ariel, thy charge exactly is performed, but there's more toil. What is the time of day?
2 glasses. The time twixt 6 and now must by us both be spent most preciously.
Is there more toil? Since thou dost give me pains, let me remember thee what thou hast promised, which is not yet performed me.
How now, Moody? What is't thou canst demand?
My liberty.
Before the time be out, no more.
I prithee, remember, I have done thee worthy service, told thee no lies, made thee no mistakings, served without grudge or grumbling.
Thou didst promise to bait me a full year?
Dost thou forget from what a torment I did free thee?
No.
Thou dost, and thinkest too much to tread the ooze of the salt deep, to run upon the sharp winds of the north, to do me business in the veins of the earth when it's baked with frost.
I do not, sir.
Thou liest, malignant thing! Hast thou forgot the foul witch Sycorax, who with age and envy turned into a hoop? Hast thou forgot her?
No, sir.
Thou hast! Where was she born then? Speak! Tell me!
Sir, an archer.
Oh, was she so? I must once a month recount what thou hast been, which thou forgettest.
This damned witch, Sycorax, for mischiefs manifold and sorceries terrible to enter human hearing, from Algiers, thou knowest, was banished. For one thing she did, they would not take her life. Is not this true?
Aye, sir.
This blue-eyed hag was hither brought with child, and here was left by the sailors. Thou, my slave, as thou reportst thyself, was then her servant, and, for thou wast a spirit too delicate to act her earthy and abhorred commands, refusing her grand hests, she did confine thee, by help of her more potent ministers, and in her most unmitigable rage, into a cloven time, within which rift, imprisoned, thou didst painfully remain 12 years, within which space she died and left thee there, where thou didst vent thy groans as fast as mill wheels strike.
Then was this island, save for that son that she did litter here, a freckled whelp, hag-born, not honoured with human shape.
Yes, Caliban,
Dull
her son.
thing, I say so, he, that Caliban, whom now I keep in service. Thou best know'st what torment I did find thee in. Thy groans did make wolves howl and penetrate the breasts of ever angry bears. It was a torment to lay upon the damned, which Sycorax could not again undo. It was mine art, when I arrived and heard thee, that made gape the pine and let thee out.
I thank thee, master.
If thou more murmurst, I will rend an oak and peg thee in his knotty entrails till thou hast howled away 12 winters.
Pardon, master. I will be correspondent to command and do my spiriting gently.
Do so, and after 2 days I will discharge thee. Go, make thyself like a nymph of the sea. Be subject to no sight but thine and mine, invisible to every eyeball else. Go take this shape, and hither come hence. Go hence with diligence.
Awake, dear heart, awake. Thou hast slept well. Awake! The strangeness of your story put heaviness in me. Shake it off. Come on. We'll visit Caliban, my slave, who never yields as kind answer. 'Tis a villain, sir, I do not love to look on. But as 'tis, we cannot miss him. He does make our fire, fetch in our wood, and serves in offices that profit us. What ho, slave! Caliban! Thou earth! Thou! Speak!
There's wood enough within. Come forth, I say, there's other business for thee. Come, thou tortoise, when? Fine apparition, my quaint Ariel. Hearken thine ear.
My lord, it shall be done.
Thou poisonous slave, got by the devil himself, upon thy wicked dam come forth.
As wicked do as e'er my mother brushed with raven's feather from unwholesome fen, drop on you both. Southwest blow on ye, and blister you all over.
But this be sure, tonight thou shalt have cramps, side stitches that shall pen thy breath up. Urchins shall, for that vast of night that they may work, all exercise on thee. Thou shalt be pinched as thick as honeycomb, each pinch more stinging than bees that made them.
I must eat my dinner. This island's mine by Sycorax, my mother, which thou takest from me. When thou camest first, thou strokest me, and madest much of me, would give me water with berries in it, and teach me how to name the bigger light, and how the less that burn by day and night. And then I loved thee, and showed thee all the qualities of the isle, the fresh springs, and brine pits, barren place, and fertile. Cursed be that I did so. All the charms of Sycorax, toads, beetles, bats, light on you. For I am all the subjects that you have, for which first was mine own king, and here you sty me in this hard rock, whilst you do keep from me the rest of the island. Thou most lying slave, whom stripes may move, not kindness, I have used thee, filth as thou art, with human care, and lodged thee in mine own cell till thou didst seek to violate the honor of my child.
Oh ho, would had been done. Thou didst prevent me. I had peopled else this isle with Calibans. Abhorred slave, which any print of goodness wilt not take, being capable of all ill. I pitied thee, took pains to make thee speak, taught thee each hour one thing or other, when thou didst not, savage, know thine own meaning, but wouldst gabble like a thing most brutish. I endowed thy purposes with words that made thee known. But thy viled race, though thou didst learn, had that int which good natures could not abide to be with. Therefore wast thou deservedly confined into this rock, who hadst deserved more than a prison. You taught me language, and my profit on't is I know how to curse. The red plague rid you for learning me your language.
Hag seed hints. Fetch us in fuel, and be quick. Thou art best to answer other business. Shruggest thou malice? If thou neglectest or dost unwillingly what I command, I'll rack thee with old cramps, fill all thy bones with aches, make thee roar that beasts shall tremble at thy din.
No, pray thee. I must obey. His art is of such power. It would control my dam's god, Centibos, and make a vassal of him.
So slave hints.
Come unto these yellow sails, and then take hands. Courtesy when you have and kissed the water-hot waves moist, footed fealty here in air, and sweet sprites that earth bear. Hark, hark, earth. The watchdogs bark. Earthen, bow, bow. Hark, hark. I live to wave a shivering chandelier crack open down.
Where should this music be? In the air or the earth? It sounds no more, and sure it waits upon some god of the island. Sitting on a bank, weeping again the king, my father's wreck, this music crept by me upon the waters, allaying both their fury and my passion with its sweet air. Thence I followed it, or it hath drawn me rather, but 'tis gone. No, it begins again. Full fathom 5 thy father lies, of his bones are coral made. Those are pearls that were his eyes, nothing of him that doth fade, but doth suffer a sea change into something rich and strange. Sea nymphs hourly ring his knell. Hark, now I hear them ding-dong bell.
The ditty does remember my drowned father. This is no mortal business, nor no sound that the earth owes. I hear it now above me. The fringed curtains of thine eyes advance, and sayest what thou seest yond. What is it? A spirit? My, how it moves about. Believe me, sir, it may carry a brave form, but 'tis a spirit. No, wench, it eats and sleeps, and has such senses as we have such. The gallant that thou seest yond was in the wreck, and but he's something stained with grief that is beauty's canker. Thou mightst call him a goodly person. He has lost his fellows, and strays about to find him. I might call him a thing divine, for nothing natural I ever saw so noble. As my soul prompts it. Spirit, fine spirit, I'll free you in 2 days for this.
Most sure the goddess on whom these airs attend, vouchsafe my prayer, may know if you remain upon this island, and that you will some good instruction give, how I may bear me here. My prime request, which I do last pronounce, is, oh, you wonder, if you be maid or no. No wonder, sir, but certainly a maid. My language, heavens! I am the best of them that speak this speech, were I but where 'tis spoken. How the best? What wert thou if the King of Naples heard thee? A single thing, as I am now, that wonders to hear the speak of Naples. He does hear me, and that he does I weep. Myself am Naples, who with mine eyes, never since at ebb, beheld the king, my father, wrecked. Alack, for mercy!
Yes, faith, and all his lords, the Duke of Milan and his brave son being twain. The Duke of Milan and his more braver daughter could control thee, if now 'twere fit to do it. At the first sight they have changed eyes. Delicate Ariel, I'll set thee free for this. A word, good sir. I fear you have done yourself some wrong. A word. Why speaks my father so ungently? This is the 3rd man that e'er I saw, the 1st that e'er I sighed for. Pity move my father to be inclined my way. Oh, if a virgin and your affection not gone forth, I'll make you the Queen of Naples. Soft, sir, one word more. They are both in either's powers, but this swift business I must uneasy make, lest too light winning make the prize light. One word more, I charge thee, that thou attend me.
Thou dost usurp the name thou owest not, and hast put thyself upon this island as a spy, to win it from me, the lord on't. No, as I am a man, there is nothing ill can dwell in such a temple. If the ill spirit have so fair a house, good things will strive to dwell with. Follow me. Speak not you for him, he is a traitor. Come, I'll manacle thy neck and feet together. Sea water thou shalt drink. Thy food shall be fresh brook mussels, withered roots, and husks wherein the acorn cradled. Come, no. I will resist such entertainment till mine enemy has more power. Oh, dear father, make not too rash a trial of him, for he is gentle and not fearful.
What, I say? My foot, my tutor? Put thy sword up, traitor, who makes a show but dares not strike. thy conscience is so possessed with guilt. Come from thy ward, for I can here disarm thee with the stick and make thy weapon drop. Beseech you, father, hands hang not on my garments. Sir, have pity, I'll be a surety. Silence! One word more shall make me chide thee, if not hate thee. What? An advocate for an imposture. Hush! Thou thinkest there is no more such shapes as he, having seen but him in Caliban? Foolish wench, to most of men this is a Caliban, and they to him are angels. My affections are then most humble. I have no ambition to see a goodlier man. Come on, obey. Thy nerves are in their infancy again, and have no vigor in them.
So they are. My spirits, as in a dream, are all bound up. My father's loss, the weakness that I feel, the wreck of all my friends, nor this man's threats, to whom I am subdued, are but light to me. Might I but, through my prison once a day, behold this maid. All corners else of the earth, liberty make use of. Enough space have I in such a prison. It works. Come on. Thou hast done well, fine Ariel. Follow me. Hark what else thou shalt do me. Take comfort, sir. My father is of a better nature than he appears by speech. This is unwanted, which now came from him. Thou shalt be free as mountain winds, but then exactly do as I command.
To the syllable.
Come, follow. Speak not for him.
Beseech you, sir, be merry. You have cause, so have we all, of joy, for our escape is much beyond our loss. Our hint of woe is common. Every day some sailor's wife, the masters of some merchant, and the merchant have just our theme of woe. But for the miracle, I mean our preservation, few in millions can speak like us. Then wisely, good sir, weigh our sorrow with our comfort.
Prithee, peace. He receives comfort like cold porridge. The visitor will not give him or so. Look! He's winding up the watch of his wit. By and by it will strike.
Sir?
One tale.
When every grief is entertained that's offered, comes to the entertainer
$1.
Dolor comes to him indeed. You have spoken truer than you purposed. You have taken it wiselier than I meant you should. Therefore, my lord,
Fie, what a spendthrifty is of his tongue.
I prithee, spare.
well, I have done, but yet he will be talking.
Which of ye or Adrian, for a good wager, first begins to crow?
The old cock.
The cockerel.
Done. The wager.
A laugh.
A match. Though this island seem to be desert. Ha ha ha, so you're paid. Uninhabitable and almost inaccessible. Yet.
He could not miss.
It must needs be of subtle, tender, and delicate temperance. Temperance was a delicate wench.
Aye, and subtle, as he most learnedly delivered.
The air breathes upon us here most sweetly.
As if it had lungs, and rotten ones.
Or as 'twere perfumed by a fen.
Here is everything advantageous to life.
True, save means to live.
Of that there's none, or little.
How lush and lusty the grass looks. How green.
The ground is indeed tawny.
With an eye of green in it.
He misses not much.
No, he doth but mistake the truth totally.
But the rarity of it is, which is indeed almost beyond credit.
As many vouched rarities are.
That our garments, being as they were drenched in the sea, hold, notwithstanding their freshness and glosses, being rather new-dyed than stained with salt water.
If but one of his pockets could speak, would it not say he lies? Aye, or very falsely pocket up his report.
Methinks our garments are now as fresh as when we first put them on in Africa, at the marriage of the king's fair daughter Claribel to the king of Tunis.
'Twas a sweet marriage, and we prosper well in our return.
Tunis was never graced before with such a paragon to their queen.
Not since Widow Dido's time.
Widow, a pox of that. How came that widow in? Widow Dido.
What if he had shed widower Aeneas too? Good Lord, how you take it.
Widow Dido, said you? You made me study of that. She was of Carthage, not of Tunis.
This Tunis, sir, was Carthage.
Carthage?
I assure you, Carthage.
His word is more than the miraculous hop. He hath raised the walls and houses too.
Impossible matter will he make easy next.
I think he will carry this island home in his pocket, give it to his son for an apple.
And sowing the kernels of it in the sea, bring forth more islands.
Aye.
Why, good time.
Sir, we were talking that our garments seem now as fresh as when we were at Tunis at the marriage of your daughter, who is now queen, and the rarest that e'er came there. Bait, I bespeak you, Widow Dido. Widow Dido, aye, Widow Dido. Is not, sir, my doublet as fresh as the first day I wore it? I mean, in a sort. That sort was well fished for. When I wore it at your daughter's marriage. You cram these words into mine ears against the stomach of my sense. Would I had never married my daughter there, for coming thence my son is lost, and in my rate she too, who is so far from Italy removed, I ne'er again shall see her. O thou my heir of Naples and Milan, what strange fish hath made his meal of thee?
Sir, he may live. I saw him beat the surges under him, and ride upon their backs. He trod the water whose enmity he flung aside, and breasted the surge most swoln that met him. His bold head above the contentious waves he kept, and oared himself with good arms in lusty stroke to the shore, that o'er his wave-blown basis bowed, as stooping to relieve him. I no doubt he came alive to land. No, he's gone.
Sir, you may thank yourself for this great loss. I would not bless our Europe with your daughter, but rather lose her to an African, where she at least is banished from your eye, who hath cause to wet the grief on it.
Prithee, peace.
You were kneeled to and importuned otherwise by all of us, and the fair soul herself weighed between loathness and obedience, at which end the beam should bow. We have lost your son, I fear, forever. Milan and Naples have more widows in them of this business making than we bring men to comfort them. The fault's your own.
So is the dearest of the loss.
My lord Sebastian, the truth you speak doth lack some gentleness and time to speak it in. You rub the sore when you should bring the plaster. Very well, and most certainly. It is foul weather in us all, good sir, when you are cloudy. Foul weather? Very foul. Had I plantation of this isle, my lord, he'd sow it with nettle seed, or docks, or mallows.
And were the king on't, what should I do?
'Scape being drunk for want of wine.
In the Commonwealth, I would, by contraries, execute all things. For no kind of traffic would I admit. No name of magistrate. Letters should not be known. Riches, poverty, and use of service? None. Contract, succession, born, bound of land, tilth, vineyard? None. No use of metal. Corn, wine, or oil? No occupation. All men idle. All. And women, too, but innocent and pure. No sovereignty.
Yet he would be king on't. Well, the latter end of his commonwealth forgets the beginning.
All things in common nature should produce, without sweat or endeavor. Treason, felony, sword, pike, knife, gun, or need of any engine would I not have.
But nature should bring forth of its own kind, all poison, all abundance, to feed my innocent people. No marrying among your subjects, no man, all idle, whores and knaves. I would govern with such perfection, sir, to excel the golden age. God save his majesty, long live Gonzalo. And do you mark me, sir? Prithee, no more. Thou dost talk nothing to me. I do well believe his highness, and did it to minister occasion to these gentlemen, who are of such sensible and nimble lungs, that they always use to laugh at nothing. 'Twas you we laughed at. Who in this merry kind of fooling am nothing to you? So you may continue, and laugh at nothing still.
What a blow was there given, and it had not fallen flat long. You are gentlemen of brave metal. You would lift the moon out of her sphere if she would continue in it 5 weeks without changing. We would set and then go a bat fowling. Nay, good my lord, be not angry. No, I warrant you, I will not adventure my discretion so weakly. Will you laugh me asleep? For I am very heavy. Go, sleep, and hear us. What, all so soon asleep? I wish mine eyes would, with themselves, shut up my thoughts. I find they are inclined to do so. Please you, sir, do not omit the heavy offer of it. Seldom visit sorrow. When it doth, it is a comforter.
We too, my lord, will watch your person while you take your rest, and guard your safety.
Thank you. Wondrous heavy.
What a strange drowsiness possesses them. It is the quality of the climate. Why doth it then not our eyelids sink? I find myself not disposed to sleep, nor I. My spirits are nimble.
They fell together all, as by consent. They dropped as by a thunderstroke.
What might, worthy Sebastian? Oh, what might? Oh, no more. And yet, methinks I see it in thy face, what thou shouldst be. The occasion speaks thee, and my strong imagination sees a crown dropping upon thy head. What? Art thou waking?
Do you not hear me speak?
I do. And surely it is a sleepy language, and thou speakest out of thy sleep. This is a strange repose. To be asleep with eyes wide open. standing, speaking, moving, and yet so fast asleep.
Noble Sebastian, thou lett'st thy fortune sleep, die rather, wink'st whiles thou art waking.
Thou dost snore distinctly. There's meaning in thy snores.
I am more serious than my custom. You must be so too, if heed me, which to do troubles thee o'er.
Well, I am standing water.
I'll teach you how to flow.
Do so. To ebb hereditary sloth instructs me.
Oh, if you but knew how you the purpose cherish whiles thus you mock it, how in stripping it you more invest it.
Ebbing men indeed. Most often do so near the bottom run by their own fear, or sloth.
Say on. The setting of thine eye and cheek proclaim a matter from thee, and a birth indeed which throws thee much to yield.
Thus, sir, although this lord of weak remembrance, this who shall be of as little memory when he is earthed, hath here almost persuade, for he's a spirit of persuasion, only professes to persuade, the king his sons alive. 'Tis as impossible that he's undrowned, and he that sleeps here swims.
I have no hope that he is undrowned.
Oh, out of that no hope. What great hope have you?
No hope that way is another way so high a hope that even ambition cannot pierce a wink beyond, but doubt discovery there. Will you grant with me that Ferdinand is drowned? He's gone? Then tell me, who's the next heir of Naples? Claribel. She that is Queen of Tunis. She that dwells 10 leagues beyond man's life. She that from Naples can have no note, unless the sun were post, the man of the moon's too slow, until newborn chins be rough and raisable. She that from whom we all were sea-swallowed, though some cast again, and by that destiny, to perform an act whereof what's past is prologue, what to come in yours and my discharge. What stuff is that? How say you?
'Tis true, my brother's daughter's queen of Tunis, so is she heir of Naples. Twixt which regions there is some space.
A space whose every cubit seems to cry out, how shall that Claribel measure us back to Naples? Keep in Tunis, and let Sebastian wake. Say, this were death that now hath seized them. Why, they were no worse than now they are. There be that can rule Naples as well as he that sleeps. Lords that can prate as amply and unnecessarily as this Gonzalo. I myself could make a chuff of as deep chat. Oh, that you bore the mind that I do. What a sleep were this for your advancement. Do you understand me?
Methinks I do.
And how does your content tender your own good fortune?
I remember you did supplant your brother Prospero.
True. And look how well my garments sit upon me. Much feeter than before.
My brother's servants were then my fellows. Now they are my men.
But for your conscience.
Aye, sir. Where lies that? If 'twere kibed, 'twould put me to my slipper, but I feel not this deity in my bosom. 20 consciences stand twixt me and Milan. Candid be they, and melt ere they molest. Here lies your brother, no better than the earth he lies upon, if he were that which he is like now, that's dead, whom I, with this obedient steel, 3 inches of it, might put to bed forever, whilst you, doing thus, to the perpetual wink, for I might put this ancient morsel, this Sir Prudence, who should not upbraid our course. As for the rest,
They'll take suggestion as a cat laps milk. They'll tell the clock to any business that we say befits the hour.
The case, dear friend, shall be my precedent. As thou gotst Milan, I'll come by Naples. Draw thy sword, one stroke shall free thee from the tribute which thou payest, and I, the king, shall love thee.
Draw together, and when I rear my hand, do you the like, to fall it on Gonzalo.
Oh, but one word. My master through his art foresees the danger that you, his friend, are in, and sends me forth, for else his project dies, to keep them living. Will you here do snoring lie, open-eyed conspiracy his time doth take? If of life you keep a care, shake off slumber and beware, awake, awake!
Then let us both be sudden.
Now, good angels, preserve the king!
Why, how now? Ho, awake! Why are you drawn? Wherefore this ghastly looking?
What's the matter? Whilst we stood here, securing your repose, even now we heard a hollow burst or bellowing, like bulls or rather lions. Didst not wake you? It struck mine ear most terribly. I heard nothing.
Oh, 'twas a din to fright a monstrous ear, to make an earthquake. Sure, it was the roar of a whole herd of lions.
Heard you this, Gonzalo? Upon mine honor, sir, I heard a humming, and that a strange one too, which did awake me. I shaked you, sir, and cried as mine eyes opened. I saw their weapons drawn. There was a noise, that's verily. 'Tis best we stand upon our guard, or that we quit this place. Let's draw our weapons. Lead us off this ground, and let's make some further search of my poor son. Heavens keep him from these beasts, for he is sure in the island. Lead away.
Prospero, my lord, shall know what I have done. So, king, go safely on to seek thy son.
All the infections that the sun sucks up. From books, friends, flats on prospect fall, and make him by inch meal a disease. The spirits hear me, and yet I needs must curse. They'll no pinch, fright me with orchan shows, pitch me eye to mar. No, let me, like a firebrand in the dark, out of my way, unless he bid him. But for every trifle are they set upon me. Sometime like apes that move and chatter at me, have to bite me, and like paddocks which lie tumbling in my barefoot way and mount their bricks at my foot fall. Sometime am I all wound with ladders, who with cloven tongues who hiss me into his madness. No, here comes a spirit of his, and to torment me for bringing wood in lovely, I'll fall flat. Perchance he will not mind me.
Here's neither bush nor shrub to bear off any kind of weather at all. And another storm brewing. I hear it sing in the wind. Yon black cloud, yon huge one, looks like a foul bombard that could not help but shed his liquor. And if it should thunder again, I know not where to hide my head. Yon cloud cannot help but rain pailfuls. What have we here? A man or a fish? Alive or dead? A fish! He smells like a fish, a very ancient and fish-like smell, a sort of not the newest porridge on. If I were in England, where once I was, and I had but this fish painted, there's not a holiday fool but would give me a piece of silver.
There will this monster make a man. There any strange beast makes a man. When they will not give a dwad or leave a lame beggar, they will lazy out 10 to see a dead Indian. Legs like a man. And fins like arms. Worm on my troth. I do now let loose my opinion. Hold it no longer. This is no fish, but an islander that hath lately suffered by a thunderbolt. Alas, a storm has come again. My best way is to creep under his gabardine. There is no other shelter hereabouts. Misery acquaints a man with strange bedfellows. Here I will shroud, till the dregs of the storm be past.
I shall no more to sea, here shall I die ashore. This is a very scurvy tune to sing at a man's funeral. Well, here's my comforts.
The master, the swabber, the boatswain, and I, the gunner and his mate, loved Moll, Meg, and Marion, and Marjorie, but none of us cared for Kate, for she had a tongue with a pang, would cry to a sailor, "Go hang!" She loved not the savour of tar nor of pitch, yet a tailor might scratch her where'er she did itch. And to sea, boys, and let her go hang, this is a scurvy tune too, but here's my comfort.
Do not torment me! Oh!
What's the matter? Have we devils here? Do you put tricks upons with savages and men of Ind? Ha! I have not 'scaped drowning to be afeard now of your 4 legs.
For it hath been said, as proper a man as ever went on, 4 legs cannot make him give ground. And it shall be said so again, while Stefano breathes at nostrils. The spirit torments me. Oh! Is this some monster of the isle with 4 legs, who hath got, as I take it, an ague? Where the devil should he learn our language? I will give him some relief, if it but be for that. If I can recover him, and keep him tame, and get to Naples with him, is a present for any emperor that ever trod on neat's leather. Do not torment me, prithee. I'll bring my wood home faster. He's in a fit now, and does not talk after the wises. He shall taste of my bottle. If he hath never drunk wine afore, will go near to remove his fit. If I can recover him and keep him tame, I will not take too much for him. He shall pay for him that hath him, and that soundly.
Thou dost me yet but little hurt. Thou wilt anon, I know it by thy trembling. Now prosper works upon thee.
Come on your ways. Open your mouth. Here is that which will give you language. Cat, open your mouth. This will shake your shaking, I can tell you, and that soundly. You cannot tell who's your friend. Open your chapstick. I should know that voice. It should be... But he is drowned, and these are devils. How defend me? 4 legs and 2 voices. The most delicate monster. His forward voice now is to speak well of his friend. His backward voice is to utter foul speeches and to detract. If all the wine in my bottle will recover him, I will help his egg. Come, Amen. I will pour some in thy other mouth. Stefano.
Did thy other mouth call me? Mercy, mercy! This is a devil and no monster. I will leave him. I have no long spoon.
Stefano! If thou beest Stefano, touch me! For I am Trinculo. Be not afeard, thy good friend, Trinculo.
If thou beest Trinculo, come forth. I'll pull thee by the lesser legs. Oh, if any of be Trinculo's legs, these are they. Oh, thou art very Trinculo indeed. How camest thou to be the siege of this moon calf? How could he met Trinculo,
I took him to be killed with a thunderstroke. But art thou not drowned, Stefano? I hope thou art not drowned. Is the storm overblown? I hid me under the dead mooncalf's gabardine for fear of the storm. And art thou living, Stefano? Oh, Stefano, to Neapolitan scheme!
Prithee, do not turn me about. My stomach's not caught.
These be fine things, and if they be not sprites, that's a brave god and bear celestial liquor. I will kneel to him. How didst thou escape? How camest thou hither? Swear by this bottle how thou camest hither. I escaped upon a butt of sack which the sailors heaved o'erboard by this bottle, which I made of the bark of a tree with mine own hands since I was cast ashore. I'll swear upon that bottle to be thy true subject, for the liquor is not earthly. Here, swear then how thou escapest. Swum ashore, man like a duck. I can swim like a duck, I'll be sworn. Here, kiss the book. Though thou canst swim like a duck, thou art made like a goose. Oh, Stefano, hast thou any more of this?
The whole but, man. My cellar is in a rock by the seaside where my wine is hid. How now, mooncalf? How doth that thine ague? Hast thou not dropped from heaven? Out of the moon! I do assure thee, I was the man in the moon when time was. I have seen thee in her, and I do adore thee. My mistress showed me thee, and thy dog, and thy bush. Come, swear to that. Kiss the book. I will furnish it anon with new contents. Swear! By this good light, this is a very shallow monster. I have feared of him. A very weak monster. The man in the moon. A most poor, credulous monster. Well-drawn monster, in good sooth. I'll show thee every fertile inch of the island, and I will kiss thy foot. I prithee, be my god. By this light, a most perfidious and drunken monster. When God's asleep, he'll rob his bottle.
I'll kiss thy foot. I'll swear myself thy subject. Come on then, down, and swear. I shall laugh myself to death at this puppy-headed monster. A most scurvy monster. I could find it in my heart to beat him. Come, kiss! But that the poor monster is in drink. An abominable monster. I'll show thee the best springs. I'll pluck thee berries. I'll fish for thee, and get thee wood enough. A plague upon the tyrant that I serve. I'll bear him no more sticks, but follow thee, thou wondrous man. A most ridiculous monster, to make a wonder of a poor drunkard. I prithee, let me bring thee where crabs grow, and I with my long nails will dig thee pig nuts, show thee a jay's nest, and instruct thee how to snare the nimble marmoset. I'll bring thee to clustering filberts, and sometimes I'll get the young scammels from the rock.
Wilt thou go with me?
I prithee, lead the way without any more talking. Trinculo. The king and all our company else being drowned, we will inherit here. Here, bear my bottle. Fellow Trinculo, we'll fill him by and by again.
Farewell, master! Farewell! Farewell!
Howling monster! Drunken monster!
No more dams! I'll make for fish, nor fetching, firing at requiring, nor scrape trencher, nor wash dish. Ban, Caliban has a new master, get a new man. Freedom, heyday, freedom, heyday, freedom, freedom!
Oh, brave monster, lead the way.
There be some sports are painful, and their labor delight in them sets off. Some kinds of baseness are nobly undergone, and most poor matters point to rich ends. This my mean task would be as heavy to me as odious, but the mistress which I serve quickens what's dead and makes my labors pleasures. Oh, she is 10 times more gentle than her father's crabs, and he's composed of harshness. I must remove some 1,000 of these logs and pile them up. Upon a sore injunction, my sweet mistress weeps when she sees me work, and says such baseness had never like executor. I forget, but these sweet thoughts do even refresh my labors, most busy lest when I do it.
Alas, now pray you work not so hard.
I would the lightning had burnt up those logs that you are enjoyed to pile. Pray set it down and rest you, when this burns, to weep for having wearied you. My father is hard at study. Pray now, rest yourself, for he's safe for these 3 hours.
Oh, my dear mistress, the sun will set before I shall discharge what I must strive to do.
If you'll sit down, I'll bear your logs for a while. Pray, give me that. I'll carry it to the pile.
No, precious creature. I'd rather crack my sinews, break my back, than you should suffer such dishonor undergo, while I sit lazy by.
It would become me as well as it does you, and I should do it with much more ease, for my good will it is to, and yours it is against. Poor worm, thou art infected. This visitation shows it.
You look wearily. No, noble mistress, 'tis fresh morning with me when you are by at night. I do beseech you, chiefly that I might set it in my prayers. What is your name? Miranda. Oh, my father, I had broke your hest to say so. Admired Miranda, indeed the top of admiration, worth what's dearest to the world. Full many a lady I have eyed with best regard, and many a time the harmony of their tongues hath into bondage brought my too diligent ear. For several virtues have I liked several women. Never any was so fond soul, but some defect in her did quarrel with the noblest grace she owed, and put it to the foil. But you, oh you, so perfect and so peerless, are created of every creature's best.
I do not know one of my sex, no woman's face remember, save from a glass mine own. Nor have I seen more that I may call men than you, good friend, and my dear father. How features are abroad I am skillless of, but by my chastity, the jewel in my dower, I would not wish any companion in the world but you. Nor can imagination form a shape besides yourself to dream of.
but I prattle something too wildly, and my father's precepts I therein do forget. I am in my condition a prince, Miranda. I do think a king. I would not so, and would no more endure this wooden slavery than to suffer the flesh fly blow my mouth.
Hear my soul speak. The very instant that I saw you, did my heart fly to your service, and there resides to make me slave to it. And for your sake am I this patient logman.
Do you love me?
O heaven, O earth, bear witness to this sound, and crown what I profess with kind event if I speak true, if hollowly, invert what best is boded me to mischief. I, beyond all limit of what else i' the world, do love, prize, honour you.
I am a fool to weep at what I am glad of.
Fair encounter of two most rare affections, heavens rain grace on that which breeds between them. Wherefore weep you?
At mine unworthiness that dare not offer what I desire to give, and much less take what I shall die to want. But this is trifling, and all the more it seeks to hide itself, the bigger the bulk it shows.
Hence bashful cunning, and prompt me plain and holy innocence. I am your wife, if you will marry me. If not, I'll die your maid. To be your fellow, you may deny me, but I'll be your servant, whether you will or no.
Mistress, dearest, and I thus humble ever.
My husband, then?
I, with a heart as willing as bondage, heir of freedom, here's my hand.
And mine, with my heart in't. And now farewell, till half an hour hence.
This is they I cannot be. Who are surprised withal? But my rejoicing at nothing can be more. I'll to my book, for yet ere supper time must I perform much business appertaining.
Tell not me when the bud is out, we will drink water. Not a drop before, therefore bear up and boredom. Servant monster, drink to me.
Servant monster, the folly of this island. They say there's 5 upon this isle. We are 3 of them. If the other 2 be brained like us, the state totters.
Drink, servant monster, when I bid thee. Thy eyes are almost set in thy head.
Where should they be set else? He were a brave monster indeed if they were set in his tail.
My man monster hath drowned his tongue in sack for my part. The sea cannot drown me. I swam ere I could recover the shore, 50 and 30 leagues off and on. By this light, thou shalt be my lieutenant, monster, or my standard.
Poručnik ako vam je po volji, jer ne može da nosi zastavu. Nećemo trčati, misiju nema ni hodati, nego ćete ležati kao psi i nećete ni pisnuti. Da progovori Nemani, ako si prava Nemani. Što želi tvoja milost? Lizat ću ti i cipelu, ali ovom neću služiti, jer nije junak. Lažiš, glupa nagazo. Ja bih imao volje da se uhvatim i s kakvim pandurom, ti gadna ribo, zar je ikad bio kukavica koji je popio toliko sekta koji ja danas? Zar ćeš tako grdno lagati, kad si samo napola riba, a napola Neman? Gle, ruga mi se, zar ćeš to dopustiti, o gospodaru? O gospodaru, veli. Ko bi rekao da Neman može biti tako budalasta? Gle, opet. Molim te, izgrizi ga da pogine. Trinkulo, jezik za zube. Ako se budeš bunio, objesit ću te prvo drvo. Bjedna je nakaza moj podanik i nitko ga ne smije vrijeđati.
I thank my noble lord. Wilt thou be pleased to hearken once again to the suit I made to thee?
Marry, will I kneel and repeat it? I will stand, and so shall Tranquillo.
As I told thee before, I am subject to a tyrant, a sorcerer, that by his cunning hath cheated me of the island.
Thou liest!
Thou liest! Thou jesting monkey, thou! I would my valiant master would destroy thee! I do not lie.
Trinculo, if you trouble him any more in's tale, by this hand I will supplant some of your teeth.
Why? I said nothing.
Mum then, and no more. Proceed.
I say by sorcery he got this isle. From me he got it. If thy greatness were avenged on him, for I know thou darest, but this thing dare not.
That's most certain.
Thou shalt be lord of it, and I'll serve thee.
How now shall this be compassed? Canst thou bring me to the party?
Yea, my lord, I'll yield him thee asleep, where thou mayst knock a nail into his bead.
Thou liest, thou canst not.
What a biden is this, thou scurvy patch! I do beseech thy greatness, give him blows, and take his bottle from him. When that's gone, he shall drink naught but brine, for I'll not show him where the quick freshers are.
Trinculo, run into no further danger. Interrupt the monster one word further, and by this hand I'll turn my mercy out of doors and make a stock fish of thee.
What? What did I? I did nothing. I'll go. Farther off.
Oh, ow!
Didst thou not say he lied? Thou liest. Do I so? Take thou that. As you like this, give me the lie another time.
I did not give the lie. Out of your whistle bearing too. A pox on your bottle. This kid's sacking drinking too. A murder on your monster and the devil take your makers.
Now, forward with thy tale. Prithee, stand farther off. Beat him enough. After a little time, I'll beat him too. Stand farther. Come, proceed. Why, as I told thee, 'tis a custom with him in the afternoon to sleep. There thou mayest brain him, having first seized his books, or with a log, batter his skull, or punch him with a stake, or cut his wizard with thy knife. Remember first to possess his books, for without them he is but a sot, as am I, nor hath not one spirit to command.
They all do hate him, as rootedly as I. Burn but his books, he has brave utensils, for so he calls them, which when he has a house he'll deck withal, and that most deeply to consider is the beauty of his daughter. He himself calls her a nonpareil. I never saw a woman, but only Sycorax, my dam, and she, but she has far surpassive Sycorax, as greatest does least. Is it so brave a lass? Aye, Lord, she will become thy bed, I warrant, and bring thee forth brave brood. Monster, I will kill this man. His daughter and I will be king and queen. Save our graces, and Trinculo, and thyself shall be viceroys. Dost thou like the plot, Trinculo? Excellent. Give me thy hand. I am sorry I beat thee, but while thou livest, keep a good tongue in thy head. Within this half hour will he be asleep. Wilt thou destroy him then?
I, on my honor.
This I will tell my master.
But thou makest me merry and full of pleasure. Let us check on. We troll the cat. You taught me that way ere. Aye, at thy request, monster. If reason, any reason, come Twinkle-O, with us sing. Flauterman, Scouterman, Scouterman, Flauterman, thought is free. That is not thy tune. What is the same?
This is thine tune that played on thy catch, played by the picture of nobody.
If thou beest a man, show thyself in thy likeliness. If thou beest the devil, take it as thou list.
Oh, forgive me my sins.
He that dies pays all debts. I defy thee, have mercy on us. Thou beest afeard? No, monster, not I.
Be not afeard. The isle is full of noises, sounds, and sweet airs that give delight and hurt not. Sometimes 1,000 twangling instruments will hum about mine ears, and sometime voices that if I then had waked after long sleep, make me sleep again. And then, in dreaming, the clouds methought would open and show riches ready to drop upon me. And when I waked, I cried to dream again.
This'll prove a brave kingdom for me. Well, I shall have my music for nothing.
When Prospero is destroyed.
That shall be by and by. I'll remember the story. The sound is going away. Let's follow it and after do our work. Lead, monster. We'll follow. Would I could see this tamer. He lays it on. Wilt come? I'll follow Stefano.
By Larkin, I can go no further, sir. My old bones ache. His amaze trodden deed through forthrights and meanders. By your patience, I needs must rest me. O Lord, I cannot blame thee. Who am I, attacked with weariness? To the dulling of my spirits sit down and rest. Even here I will put off my hope and keep it no longer for my flatterer. He is drowned whom thus we stray to find, and the sea mocks our frustrate search on land. Well, let him go. I am right glad he's so out of hope. Do not for one repulse forego the purpose that you resolved to effect. The next advantage we will take thoroughly. Let it be tonight. For now they are oppressed with travel, they will not nor cannot use such vigilance as when they are fresh. I say tonight no more.
What harmony is this? Good friends, hark! Marvelous sweet music. Give us kind keepers. Heavens! What were these? A living drollery. Now I will believe that there are unicorns. That in Arabia there is one tree, the phoenix's throne, one phoenix at this hour reigning there. I'll believe both. And what does else want credit? Come to me and I'll be sworn 'tis true. Travelers ne'er did lie, though fools at home condemn 'em. If in Naples I should report this now, would they believe me? If I should say I saw such islanders, for certes these are people of the island, who, though they are of monstrous shape, yet note, their manners are more gentle kind than of our human generation you shall find many, nay, almost any.
Honest Lord, thou hast said well.
some of you there present are worse than devils. I cannot too much muse, such shapes, such gesture, and such sound expressing, although they want to use of tongue, a kind of excellent dumb discourse. Praise and departing. They vanished, strangely. No matter. They have left their viands behind, for we have stomachs. Will it please you to taste of what is here? Not I. Faith, sir, you need not fear. When we were boys, who would believe that there were mountaineers dew-lapped like bulls, whose throats had hanging at them wallets of flesh, or that there were such men whose heads stood out in their breasts, which now we find each putter out of 5 for one will bring us good warrant of. I will stand to and feed, although my last. No matter, since I feel the best is part. Brother, my lord the Duke, stand to and do as we.
You are 3 men of sin, whom destiny that hath to instrument this lower world and what is in't, the never-surfeited sea hath caused to belch up you, and on this island where man doth not inhabit, you mongst men being most unfit to live, I have made you mad, and even with such like valor men hang down and drown their proper selves. You fools! I and my fellows are ministers of fate. The elements of whom your swords are tempered may as well wound the loud winds, or with bemocked stabs kill the still closing waters, as diminish one dowel that's in my plume. My fellow ministers are like invulnerable. If you could hurt, your swords are now too messy for your strengths and will not be uplifted. But remember, for that's my business to you, that you 3 from Milan did supplant good Prospero, exposed unto the sea which hath requited him and his innocent child, for which foul deed the powers delaying, not forgetting, have incensed the seas and shores, yea, all the creatures, against your peace.
Thee of thy son, Alonso, they have bereft, and do pronounce by me lingering perdition, worse than any death can be at once, shall step by step attend you and your ways, whose wrath to guard you from, which here in this most desolate isle else falls upon your heads, is nothing but heart sorrow and a clear life ensuing. Bravely the figure of this harpy hast thou performed, my Ariel. A grace it had, devouring. Of my instruction hast thou nothing bated in what thou hadst to say. So with good life and observation strange my meaner ministers, there's several kinds of done. My high charms work, and these my enemies are all knit up in their distractions. They now are in my power, and in these fits I leave them, while I visit young Ferdinand, whom they suppose is drowned, and his and mine loved darling.
In the name of something holy, sir, why stand you in such strange stare?
Oh, it is monstrous, monstrous! Methought the billows spoke and told me of it. The winds did sing it to me, and the thunder, that deep and dreadful organ pipe, pronounced the name of Prosper. It did base my trespass. Therefore my son in the ooze is bedded, and I'll seek him deeper than ever plummet sounded with him. There lie mudded.
But one fiend at a time. I'll fight their legions o'er.
Oh, be thy second. All 3 of them are desperate. Their great guilt, like poison given to work a great time after, now begins to bite the spirits. I do beseech you, that are of suppler joints, follow them swiftly and hinder them from what this ecstasy may now provoke them to do.
Follow, I pray you.
If I have too austerely punished you, your compensation makes amends, for I have given you here 1/3 of my own life, or that for which I live, who once again I tender to thy hand. All thy vexations were but my trials of thy love, and thou hast strangely stood the test here, afore heaven. I ratify this my rich gift, O Ferdinand. Do not smile at me that I boast her off, for thou shalt find that she will outstrip all praise and make it halt behind her. I do believe it, against an oracle. Then, as my gift and thine own acquisition, worthily purchased, take my daughter. But if thou dost break her virgin knot before all sanctimonious ceremonies may with full and holy rite be ministered, no sweet aspiration shall the heaven let fall to make this contract grow.
But barren hate, sour-eyed disdain and discord, shall bestrew the union of your bed with weeds so loathly that you shall hate it both. Therefore take heed, as Hymen's lamps shall light you, as I hope for quiet days, fair issue and long life, which such love as 'tis now, the murkiest din, the most opportune place, the strongest suggestion our worser genius can, shall never melt mine honor into lust, to take away the edge of that day's celebration, when I shall think Phoebus' steeds are foundered, or night kept chained below. Fairly spoke. Sit then and talk with her. She is thine own.
What, Ariel? My industrious servant, Ariel!
What would my put it, master? Here I am. Thou and thy meaner fellows, your last service did worthily perform, and I must use you in such another trick.
Go, bring the rabble, or whom I give thee power, here to this place. Incite them to quick motion, for I must bestow upon the eyes of this young couple some vanity of mine art. It is my promise, and they expect it from me.
Presently?
Aye, with a twink.
Before you say come and go and breathe twice and cry so, each one trippingly on his toe, we'll be here with mop and mow. But do you love me, master? No?
Dearly, my delicate Ariel. Oh, do not approach till thou dost hear me call.
Well, I conceive.
Look, thou, be true. Do not give dalliance too much the rein. The strongest oaths are straw to the fire and the blood. Be more abstemious, or else good night your vow.
I warrant you, sir. The white, cold, virgin snow on my heart abates the ardor of my liver.
Well, now come, Ariel, and bring a corollary rather than want a spirit. Appear and pertly. All eyes, no tongue, be silent.
Ceres, most bounteous lady, thy rich lees of wheat, rye, barley, vetches, oats, and peas, thy turfy mountains where live nibbling sheep, and flat meads thatched with stover them to keep, thy banks with pionid and twilled brims, which spongy April at thy hespit trims to make cold nymphs chaste crowns, and thy broom groves, whose shadows the dismissed bachelor loves being last lorn, thy pole-clipped vineyard, and thy sea march, sterile and rocky hard, where thou thyself dost err. Queen o' the sky, whose watery arch and messenger am I.
Bids thee leave these, and to her sovereign grace, here on this grassy plot, in this very place, to come and sport her peacocks fly amain. Approach, rich Ceres, her to entertain.
Hail, many-colored messenger, that ne'er dost disobey the wife of Jupiter, who with thy saffron wings upon my flowers diffusest honey drops, refreshing showers, and with each end of thy blue bow dost crown my bosky acres and my unshrubbed down, rich scarf to my proud earth. Why hath thy queen summoned me hither to this short-grassed green?
A contract of true love to celebrate, and some donation freely to a state on the blessed lovers.
Tell me, heavenly bow, if Venus or her son, as thou dost know, now attend the queen? Since they did plot the means that dusky dyes my daughter got, her and her blind boy's scandaled company I have forsworn.
much on you. Cause his blessing so is on you. This is most majestic vision, and harmoniously, charmingly, may I be bold to think these spirits which mine art have from their confines called to enact my present fancies.
If you ever feel a wondered father and a wife, makes this place paradise.
Sweet, now silence. Juno and Ceres whisper seriously. There's something else to do. Hush and be mute, or else our spell is marred.
You nymphs called naiads of the wandering brooks, with your sedge crowns and ever harmless looks, leave your crisp channels and on this green land answer your summons Juno does command. Come, temperate nymphs, and help to celebrate a contract of true love, be not too late. You sunburned sicklemen of August weary, come hither from the furrow and be merry. Make holiday, your rye straw hats put on, and these fresh nymphs encounter everyone in country footing.
I had forgot that foul conspiracy of the beast Caliban and his confederates against my life. The minute of the plot is almost come. Well done! Avoid! No more! This is strange. Your father's in some passion that works him strongly. Never till this day saw I him touch with anger. So distempered! You do look, my son, in a moved sort, as if you were dismayed. Be cheerful, sir. Our revels now are ended. These our actors, as I foretold you, were all spirits, and are melted into air, into thin air. And like the basest fabric of this vision, the cloud-capped towers, the gorgeous palaces, the solemn temples, the great globe itself, yea, all which it inherit, shall dissolve, and like this insubstantial pageant faded, leave not a wreck behind.
We are such stuff as dreams are made on. Our little life is rounded with a sleep. Sir, I am vexed. Bear with my weakness. My brain is troubled. Be not disturbed with my infirmity. If you are pleased, retire into my cell and there repose. A turn or two I'll walk. Still my beating mind.
We wish your peace.
Come with a thought. I think the Ariel come. Thy thoughts I cleave to. What's thy pleasure? Spirit, we must prepare to meet with Caliban. I, my commander, when I presented Ceres, I thought to have told you of it, but I feared lest I might anger. Say again, where did you leave these varlets? I told you, sir, they were red hot with drinking.
So full of valour, they smoked the air from breathing in their faces, beat the ground for kissing of their feet, yet always bending towards their project. Then I beat my tabor, at which, like unbacked colts, they pricked their ears, advanced their eyelids, lifted up their noses as they smelt music. So I charmed their ears, that cough like they my lowing followed through toothed briars, sharp furze, pricking goss and thorns, which entered their frail shins. At last I left them in the filthy mantled pool beyond your cell. There, dancing up to the shins, the foul lake o'erstung their feet.
This was well done, my bird. Thy shape invisible retain thou still. The trumper in my house, go bring it hither, for stale to catch these thieves.
I go.
A devil, a born devil, on whose nature nurture can never stick. on whom my pains humanely taken all lost, quite lost. And as with age his body uglier grows, and so his mind cankers, I will plague them all, even to roaring. Oh, come, hang them on this line. Pray you tread softly, that the blind mole may not hear a footfall. We now are near his cell. Monster, you fairy, which you say is a harmless fairy, has done little better than played the jack with us. Monster, I do smell all horse piss, at which my nose is in great indignation. So is mine. Do you hear, monster? If I should take a displeasure against you, look you, thou wert but a lost monster.
Good my lord, give me thy favour still. Be patient for the prize I'll bring thee too. Shall hoodwink this mischance therefore. Speak softly, all's hushed as midnight yet.
Aye, but to lose our bottles in the pool.
There's not only disgrace and dishonour in that monster, but an infinite loss.
There's more to me than my wetting, yet this is your harmless fairy, monster.
I'll fetch off my bottle, though be overraised for my labour.
Prithee, my king, be quiet. Seest thou here? This is the mouth o' the cell. No noise and enter. Do that good mischief which may make this island thine own for ever, and I, thy caravan, for aye thy foot liquor.
Give me thy hand. I begin to have bloody thoughts.
Oh, King Stefano! Oh, Pier! Oh, worthy Stefano, come see what a wardrobe is laid out for thee.
Let it alone, thou fool. It is but trash.
Oh, monster. We know what belongs of frippery. Oh, King Stefano.
Put off that gown, Trinculo. By this hand, I'll have that gown.
Thy grace shall have it.
The dropsy drowned this fall. What do you mean to dote thus on such luggage? Let's alone and do the murder first. If he awake, from toe to crown, he'll fill our skins with pinches, make us strange stuff.
Be you quiet, monster. Mistress Lion, is not this my jerkin? Now is the jerkin under the line. Now, jerkin, you are like to lose your head and prove a bald jerkin.
Do. We steal by line and level, ain't like your grace.
I thank thee for that jest. Here's a garment for it, which shall not go unrewarded while I am king of this country. Steal by line and level is an excellent pass of pate. There's another garment for it.
Monster, come, put some lime upon your fingers, and away with the rest!
I will have none on't. We shall lose our time, and all be turned to barnacles, or to apes with foreheads villainous low.
Monster, lay to your fingers. Help to bear this away where my hogshead of wine is, or I'll turn you out of my kingdom! Go to, carry this. Aye, and this, and this! Hey, mountain, hey!
Silver, there it goes, silver.
Fury, there! Tyrant, there! Hark! Hark! Go, charge my goblins that they grind their joints with dry convulsions, shorten up their sinews with aged cramps, and more pinch-spotted make them than pod or catamountain!
Hark, they roar.
Let them be hunted soundly. At this hour, lie at my mercy all mine enemies. Shortly shall all my labours end, and thou shalt have the air at freedom. For whittle, follow, and do me service.
Now does my project gather to a head. My charms crack not, my spirits obey. and time goes upright with his carriage. How's the day?
On the 6th hour, at which time, my lord, you said our work should cease.
I did say so when I first raised the Tempest. Say, my spirit, how fares the king and his followers?
Confined together in the same fashion as you gave in charge, just as you left them, all prisoners, sir. In the lime grove which weather fends your cell, they cannot budge till your release. The king, his brother, and yours abide all three distracted, and the remainder mourning over them, brimful of sorrow and dismay. But chiefly him that you termed, sir, the good old Lord Gonzalo. His tears run down his beard like winter's drops from eaves of reeds. Your charm so strongly worksome that if you now beheld them, your affections would become tender.
Dost thou think so, spirit? Mine good sir, were I human, and mine shall. Hast thou, which art but air, a touch of feeling of their afflictions, and shall not myself, one of their kind that relish all as sharply, passions as they be kindlier moved than thou art? Though with their high wrongs I am struck to the quick, yet with my nobler reason gainst my fury do I take part. The rarer action is in virtue than in vengeance. They being penitent, the sole drift of my purpose doth extend not a frown further. Go, release them, Ariel. My charms I'll break, their senses I'll restore, and they shall be themselves. I'll fix them, sir. Oh, ye elves of hills, brooks, standing lakes, and groves, and ye that on the sands with printless foot do chase the ebbing Neptune, and do fly him when he comes back.
You demi-puppets, that by the moonshine do the green sour ringlets make, whereof the ewe-not bites. And you, whose pastime it is to make the midnight mushrooms, that rejoice to hear the solemn curfew, by whose aid, weak masters though ye be, I have bedimmed the noontide sun, called forth the mutinous winds, and twixt the green sea and the azured vault set roaring war. To the dread rattling thunder have I given fire, and rifted Jove's stout oak with his own bolt. The strong based promontory have I made shake, and by the spurs plucked up the pine and cedar. Graves at my command have waked their sleepers, oped and let them forth by my so potent art. But this rough magic I here abjure.
And when I have required some heavenly music, which even now I do, to work mine end upon their senses that this airy charm is for, I'll break my staff, bury it certain fathoms in the earth, and deeper than did ever plummet sound, I'll drown my book.
A solemn air and the best comforter to an unsettled fancy cure thy brains, now useless, boiled within thy skull. There stand, for you are spell stopped. Holy Gonzalo, honorable man, mine eyes, even sociable to the show of thine, fall fellowly drops.
The charm dissolves apace, and as the morning steals upon the night, melting the darkness, so their rising senses begin to chase the ignorant fumes that mantle their clearer reason.
All trochees, iamb, spondies, and iambic pentameter credited to William Shakespeare. Any attribution to Christopher Marlowe has been greatly exaggerated.
Oh, good Gonzalo, my true preserver and a loyal sir to him you followest, I will pay your graces home both in word and deed. Most cruelly didst thou, Alonso, use me and my daughter. Thy brother was a furtherer in the act. Thou art pinched for't now, Sebastian. Flesh and blood. You, brother mine, who entertained ambition, expelled remorse and nature, who with Sebastian, whose inward pinches therefore are most strong, would here have killed your king. I do forgive thee, unnatural though thou art. their understanding begins to swell, and the approaching tide will shortly fill the reasonable shore that now lies foul and muddy. Not one of them, yet that looks on me or would know me.
Ariel, fetch me the hat and rapier by myself. I will discase me and myself present as I was sometime alang. Quickly, spirit, thou shalt ere long be free. With a piece of Sakai, in a cowslip spell I lie. There I couch when owls do cry. On the bat's back I do fly. After summer merrily, merrily, merrily shall I live now. Under the blossom that hangs on the bough. Why, that's my dainty Ariel. Shall miss thee, but yet thou shalt have freedom. So. To the king's ship invisible as thou art, there shalt thou find the mariners asleep under the hatches, the master and the boatswain being awake, and force them to this place, and presently, I prithee.
I drink the air before me, and return, or ere your pulse beat twice.
All torment, trouble, wonder, and amazement inhabits here. Some heavenly power guide us out of this fearful country.
Behold, Sir King, the wronged Duke of Milan, Prospero. For more assurance that a living prince does now speak to thee, I embrace thy body. And to thee and thy company I bid a hearty welcome.
Whether thou be'st he or no, or some enchanted trifle to abuse me as late I have been, I not know. Thy pulse beats as of flesh and blood, and since I saw thee, the affliction of my mind amends, with which I fear a madness held me. This must crave, and if this be at all, a most strange story. Thy dukedom I resign, and do entreat thou pardon me my wrongs. But how should Prospero be living, and be here?
First, noble friend, let me embrace thine age, whose honor cannot be measured or confined. Whether this be or not, I'll not swear. You do yet taste some subtleties of the isle. That will not let you believe things certain. Welcome, my friends all. But you, my brace of lords, were I so minded, I here could pluck his highness frown upon you and justify you traitors. At this time I will tell no tales. The devil speaks in him. No, for you, most wicked sir, whom to call brother would even infect my mouth, I do forgive thy rankest fault, all of them, and require my dukedom of thee, which perforce I know thou must restore.
If thou beest Prospero, give us particulars of thy preservation, how thou hast met us here, for 3 hours since were wrecked upon this shore. For I have lost, how sharp the point of this remembrance is, my dear son Ferdinand. I am woe for it, sir. Irreparable is the loss, and patience says it is past her cure. I rather think you have not sought her help, of whose soft grace, for the like loss, I have her sovereign aid, and rest myself content. You the like loss, as great to me as late, and supportable to make the dear loss, have I means much weaker than you may call to comfort you, for I have lost my daughter. A daughter?
Oh, heavens, that they were living, both in Naples, the king and queen there. That they were, I wish myself were mudded in that oozy bed where my son lies. When did you lose your daughter? In this last tempest. I perceive these lords at this encounter do so much admire that they devour their reason, and scarce think their eyes do offices of truth, their words are natural breath. But Howsoe'er you've been justled from your senses, know for certain that I am Prospero, and that very duke which was thrust forth of Milan, who most strangely upon this shore where you were wrecked was landed to be the lord on it. No more yet of this, for 'tis a chronicle of day by day, not a relation for our breakfast, nor befitting this first meeting.
Welcome, sir. This cell's my court. Here have I few attendants and subjects, none abroad. Pray you, look in. My dukedom, since you have given me again, I will requite you with as good a thing. At least bring forth a wonder to content ye as much as me, my dukedom. Sweet lord, you play me false. No, my dearest love, I would not for the world. Yes, for a score of kingdoms you should wrangle, and I would call it fair play. If this prove a vision of the island, one dear son shall I twice lose. A most high miracle. Though the seas threaten, they are merciful. I have cursed them without cause. Now, all the blessings of a glad father compass thee about. Arise, and say how thou camest here.
Oh, wonder! How many goodly creatures are there here! How beauteous mankind is! Oh, brave new world that has such people in't! 'Tis new to thee. What is this maid with whom thou wast at play? Your eldest acquaintance cannot be 3 hours. Is she the goddess that hath severed us, and brought us thus together? Sir, she is mortal, but by immortal providence she is mine. I chose her when I could not ask my father for his advice, nor thought I had one. She is daughter to this famous Duke of Milan, of whom so often I have heard renown, but never met before, of whom I have received a second life, and second father this lady makes him to me.
I am hers, but oh, how oddly it will sound that I must ask my child forgiveness.
There, sir, stop. Let us not burthen our remembrance with a heaviness that's gone. I have inly wept, or should have spoken ere this. Look down, you God, and on this couple drop a blessed crown. For it is you that have chalked forth the way which brought us hither.
I say amen, Gonzalo.
Was Milan thrust from Milan, that his issue should become King of Naples? Oh, rejoice beyond a common joy, and set it down with gold on lasting pillars. In one voyage, did Claribel her husband find at Tunis, and Ferdinand, her brother, found a wife, where he himself was lost, Prospero his dukedom in a poor isle, and all of us, ourselves, when no man was his own.
Give me your hands. Let grief and sorrow still embrace the heart that does not wish you joy. Oh, look, sir, there is more of us. I prophesied, if a gallows were on land, this fellow could not drown. Now, blasphemy that swearest grace aboard, not an oath on shore, hast thou no mouth by land? What is the news? Well, the best news is that we have safely found our king and company. The next our ship, which but 3 glasses since we gave our split, is tight and and bravely rigged as when we first put out to sea.
Sir, all this service have I done since I went.
My tricksy spirit.
These are not natural events. They strengthen from strange to stranger. Say, how came you hither? If I did think, sir, I were well awake, I'd strive to tell you. We were dead of sleep, and how we know not, all clapped under hatches, where but even now with strange and several noises of roaring, shrieking, howling, jingling chains, and more diversity of sounds, all horrible, we're awaked. Straightway at liberty, where we in all her trim freshly beheld our royal good and gallant ship, our master capering to eye her. On a trice, so please you, even in a dream, were we divided from them, and were brought moping hither. Was't well done? Bravely, my diligence. Thou shalt be free.
sé seo an bóchars cast siúl éinechan a riamh agus tá rud éigean sa gnó sin nach bhfuil an nádúr an. Caiimiid cóirle lár go urcail éigean. A chinne úsal, a líis. Ná bí ag cur de chuid ama a mú. Ná smuoine an tithiúlacht sin. Go luath. Ag an am ceart, mí nóid méideid, agus béis sin ina chreid se go léir, gach éon achtra a tharla. Go dtí sin bí sásta agus bíoch intin oscailte agat.
Tar an seo is péid. Scuil is sir Caliban agus a chamrádathe, bris na gasa.
A chinne úsal, ó champlach an linne tá cúpla duine ar irí go fóil daoine áte an dhearna tú Jaramid ortha.
Stefano, every man shift for all the rest, and let no man take care for himself, for all is but fortune. Coraggio, bully monster, coraggio. Trinculo, if these be true spies which I wear in my head, here's a goodly sight. Caliban, oh, Setebos, these be brave spirits indeed. How fine my master is! I am afraid he will chastise me. Sebastian, ha, ha. What things are these, my lord Antonio? Will money buy 'em? Antonio, very like. One of them is a plain fish, and no doubt marketable. Prospero, mark but the badges of these men, my lords, then say if they be true. This misshapen knave, his mother was a witch, and one so strong that could control the moon, make flows and ebbs, and deal in her command without her power.
These three have robbed me, and this demi-devil, for he's a bastard one, hath plotted with them to take my life. Two of these fellows you must know and own. This thing of darkness, I acknowledge mine.
Oh, I shall be pinched to death.
Is not this Stefano, my drunken butler?
He's drunk now. Where had he wine?
And Trinculo is reeling ripe. Where should they find this grand liquor that hath gilded them? How camest thou in this pickle?
Oh, I have been in such a pickle since I saw you last that I fear me will never out of my bones. I shall not fear fly blowing.
Why, how now, Stefano?
Oh, touch me not. I am not Stefano, but a cramp.
You'd be king of the isle, sirrah? I should have been a sore one then. This is a strange thing as e'er I looked on. He is as disproportioned in his manners as in his shape. Go, sirrah, to my cell. Take with you your companions, as you look to have my pardon. Trim it handsomely. Aye, that I will, and I'll be wise hereafter, and seek for grace. What a thrice double ass was I, to take this drunkard for a god, and worship this dull fool. Go to! Away! Hence, and bestow your luggage where you found it. Or stole it, rather. Sir, I invite your highness and your train to my poor cell, where you shall take your rest for this one night.
Which part of it I'll waste with such discourse as, I not doubt, shall make it go quick away, the story of my life, and the particular accidents gone by since I came to this isle. And in the morn I'll bring you to your ship, and so to Naples, where I have hoped to see the nuptial of these our dear beloved solemnized, and thence retire me to my Milan, where every third thought shall be my grave. I long to hear the story of your life, which must take the ear strangely. I'll deliver all, and promise calm seas, auspicious gales, and sails so expeditious that shall catch your royal fleet far off. My aerial chick, that is thy charge. Then to the elements be free, and fare thee well. Please you, draw near.
And now my charms are all o'erthrown. What strength I have's mine own, which is most faint. Now, 'tis true, I must be confined here by you or sent to Naples. Let me not, since I have my dukedom got and pardoned the deceiver, dwell in this bare island by your spells, but release me from your bands by the strength of your good hands. Gentle breath of yours my sails must fill, or else my project fails, which was to please. Now I want spirits to enforce and art to enchant, and my ending is despair, unless I be relieved by prayer, which pierces so that it assaults mercy itself and frees all faults. As you from crimes would pardoned be, let your indulgence set me free.